Welcome back to the channel. This is IC Envy Drivers Edition, and today I want to get into something that people have been asking me my opinion on lately. I dropped the video about why the C8 prices are so high. People ask me, well, what do you think about the Z06? So today we are going to get into the Z06. Yes, the Chevy C8 Z06. But I'm not going to drop another video like everybody else discussing about the features and so forth. I think it's enough of that out there. But what I'm going to do today is let's talk about how the Z06 is going to change the C8 marketplace. So the Corvette Z06 and how it will affect C8 prices. Let's go. Okay, as we jump into the Z06, we all have seen these clips right here where we know the streets will never be the same. As Chevy has released their videos, pictures, and so forth to prepare us for the Z06. Doesn't that get you motivated? All right, now let's get into it. So, when I think about the Z06, we all know that it's the next level of performance from the base model Corvette. So when you think Z06, you instantly think high performance for the track, but it's on the street. That means more horsepower, more torque, more When the Z06 drops for the C8, we're talking about one of the most hottest cars in anticipation for the street. People have been on waiting lists for this C8 Z06 since August of 2020. So yes, there are some people out there on waiting lists for Corvette Z06 C8 version, and in theory, it shouldn't exist. And I'm not saying the car shouldn't exist, but what I'm saying to you is the list shouldn't exist. Even if the dealership is taking your money, most dealerships right now are starting to backpedal. You can stick with yours and so forth, and I'm not going to tell you you won't see a car for base price, because unfortunately every dealer is not going to sell over MSRP. That's a given. But what it also states is not just two dealers are going to sell all the Z06s. And then on the back end of that, just because a dealer does agree to sell you a Z06, it doesn't mean they have to give you their first, second, third, fourth, or fifth allocation. That just means they'll put you in where you fit in. And with that being said, not to be a Debbie Downer, but I've been calling around, and there are a couple of dealers who are willing to jump me into one of their first 5 allotment spots if I agree to pay $15K over. Now, if you ask me, and this is just a quick side note, the Z06 buyer is not your typical buyer. The person that bought a Corvette C8 and decides to put a $20,000 wide body kit on it, that's your Z06 buyer. Because my thoughts is, I debated on buying a $20,000 wide body kit for my C8, but my thoughts was, if I'm going to pay an extra 20 grand on the price of what I paid for my regular C8, why not buy a brand new Z06 with a wider body and more performance? You see the difference in customers? Somebody that's willing to pay 20 grand for a wide body kit, but they are the person that is willing to spend the extra 20 grand on a Z06. And I'm saying that to you because when the Z06 hits the market, right now, for most dealers I'm talking to, and I guess I'll drop a video going around checking out the dealers and their Z06 thoughts and suggestions, is that dealers in my local area are saying 15, 20 grand over. Well, that's just like the base price for a base C8, right? Well, let's look at it this way. I'm a real Z06 buyer, meaning I'm not finna buy the base model, which we're all hoping, wishing, and praying starts out at $85,000. What I'm looking for is a 2LT, a 2LZ or a 3LZ Z06. Now, based off the fact of how much I love my luxury of my 3LT, I'm looking more for a 3LZ. So just in guesstimations alone, I'm looking somewhere probably above 100 grand for the MSRP of my car. And if you throw on the extra 15 to 20,000, I'm looking somewhere around $125 to $130,000 car. You can buy base C8s for that money. So with that being said, how will the Z06 affect the C8 marketplace? Here's my opinion and my thoughts. If you have a Z06 asking 20 grand above sticker and you have base C8s going for 30 and 40 grand above sticker now, what you're going to see is a slight balance out. And what I mean by a slight balance out is you're going to start to see the 1LT C8s drop down to around 80 grand. That's still a huge markup considering a base 1LT is about 62. So what you're going to start to see is probably a $15,000 to $17,000 true swing on the over MSRP pricing. What does that mean? That means anybody interested in the 1LT, get ready. Anybody that wants a Corvette, just the C8 body, no extras, get ready. Because what happened is all of these 1LTs hit the streets because people who were looking to make a quick flip went out and ordered a 1LT version of the C8, took the quick 15 to 20 grand that CarMax or other dealers were offering, and turned around and made it a cash cow. So that's why the price of the C8 right now is currently dropping. People think it's dropping because there's so many vehicles in the street. The C8 price is dropping because you can't really ask for $150,000 on a 1LT. When you look at the used car market right now for C8s, there are more 1LTs in the marketplace than any other form of vehicle. So the 1LTs are almost just as plentiful as the 2 and 3LTs combined. So if the 1LT is going for 100K, which is 30 grand over, technically 40 grand over, and you got 2LTs and 3LTs going for 120 to 125, the 2LTs are right around 105 to 115. But when you look at that, the 2LTs and most 3LTs are really going for 20 grand to 25,000 over MSRP. The 1LT is what's offsetting the market right now. If you realistically want more bang for your buck, don't go for the 1LT. But what I see happening is the 1LT is going to start to take the same balance out as the 2LT and the 3LT, meaning people are going to say, we told you the prices came down. But what really happened is the $40,000 1LT came down, which is still crazy to me at this point that they're asking 100 grand for 1LTs and you have 2LTs you can get for 105 to 115. And you have 3LTs you can get from 108 to 120. So to me, the 2LT or the 3LT is truly the bargain at this current price range. But let's get back into this. When the Z06 hits the market, the 1LTs are going to go down and you're going to have people that say, hey, the Z06 has changed the marketplace. But it really hasn't, because I've spoken to dealers that said they're going to charge 50K over for Z06. So if you're looking at an $85,000 Z06 that we're praying for, 50K over is 135. Well, what if you want a 2LZ? 50K over is going to be 145. Well, if you get a nice 3LZ or 3Z07, that's going to run you somewhere between 150, 160. What's going to happen is a lot of these people that think they're Z06 buyers because they think they're going to get their hands on one for $100,000 are now going to sit there and say, hey, I can't buy the Z06. Do I wait for the E-Ray or do I get a C8? And since we don't really have a release date for the E-Ray, which I'm thinking late 2024, I feel like the Z06 is going to have to be out for at least 2 years for the E-Ray to hit the streets. But I could be wrong. But you can talk to me about that in the comments. But what I'm sitting there saying to you is that when the Z06 drops and these prices go up, because the Z06 is going to pull big bucks. It's the most anticipated car yet. And while it's pulling the money, a lot of people that thought they were Z06 buyers are now going to become base C8 buyers. But the problem is, it's not going to be as much inventory as people think. Why do I say that to you? Because a lot of the guys that have C8s, and I'm talking about base C8s, Z51s, you're going to have a handful that trade their car in for Z06. Then you're going to have a handful that keeps them. That's going to keep both. Like myself, I'm thinking about giving my C8 to my wife, and I go get the Z06. Realistically, I'm kind of scared of the Z06, but that's a whole nother conversation. But I'm somewhere between a Z06 and a ZR1 buyer. Maybe I'll get the E-Ray. I'm not too sure about the engine, not too sure about the trans, and sometimes you want to stick to what you know. So if everything plays out like they discussed, or the rumor reveal is going about the ZR1 being this base 6.2 turbocharged, supercharged, whatever it may be, I'm more comfortable with a 6.2 liter engine. I think GM has kind of did their thing and mastered that. So I'm more comfortable with that. So I may be a hesitant buyer. I may just step back and wait. Haven't quite decided, but I do know one thing. If I do decide to get a Z06, I know several locations where I can get it for 15 grand over MSRP. No wait. So October 26th, we're all waiting in anticipation to see what's coming and what we can learn about this Z06. But as for right now, what I'm telling you is expect the Z06 to pull in 30 grand over MSRP very easy. And in some cases, you may see 50 within the first 2 years. But overall, like I've said before, I feel like the C8s are truly a 15 grand over MSRP car, and that's the base model. And I feel like if the Z06 comes in anywhere below $90,000 as a base model car, it's underpriced by 25 grand. And so I feel like the Z06 is probably going to be a 25K MSRP draw for a new car. So, ICMV community, tell me what you think. Hit me up in the comments. Tell me if you think I'm wrong, if you think I'm right. Remember, this is only my opinion, but we're talking about the market shift when the Z06 hits. Let me know what you think. Thank you all for tuning in. ICMV Drivers Edition. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share the video. Tell a friend. Peace. Thanks for tuning in. See you in the next one.